Great. But as you can see, the Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Dr. Moses Wetangula, is walking into the chambers. He'll be presiding over this afternoon sitting. Allow me to hand you over to this live broadcast that is brought to you by Kenya Broadcasting Unit in partnership with the Parliamentary Broadcasting Unit. Good afternoon.
Waheshimiwa, tuombe. Ewe Mwenyezi Mungu, ambaye kwa hekima na wema wako umetua nyadhifa za viongozi na mabunge kwa ustawi wa jamii na utawala wa haki wa wanadamu, tukusihi utazame kwa neema nyingi sisi watumishi wako ambao umeridhika kutuita ili tutekeleze shughuli muhimu za jamhuri yetu. Tunakuomba uteremshie baraka zako sisi tuliokutanika hapa, na utujalie tuyatende na kufikiria mambo yote yakayofikishwa mbele yetu kwa njia ya haki na uaminifu, ili utukufu na sifa zako ziendelezwe, na ili kustawisha amani, ufanisi na heri nchi yetu, na wale ambao haja zao umezikabidhi mikononi mwetu. Amen. Other members, congratulations. We have quorum on day one. Well done. Yes, thank you. Clerk? Clerk, may I proceed?
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Members at the bar, take your seats. Member for Webuye East, take your seat. Kasheri, take the nearest seat. Honorable members, I have a short communication. Honorable members, I wish to welcome you back to the House for the third session of the 13th Parliament. It's my hope that after a well-deserved break, you are now rejuvenated and ready to embark on the business that lies ahead of us this session. I also hope you had time to enjoy the Christmas and New Year festivities with your families, and that during the period you also got an opportunity to interact with your constituents on matters of development. Reflecting on the last session, it's gratifying to note the immense business transactions by the House. Notably, a total of 69 bills were introduced in the House, out of which 17 were passed and ascended to. Out of this, I would like to single out the National Government Constituency Development Fund Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 13 of 2023, and the National Lottery National Assembly Bill number 69 of 2023, which were passed on 6 December 2023. I wish to inform you that His Excellency the President ascended to the two bills on 11 December 2023, and the acts are now in operation. Honorable members, apart from legislation, the House also adopted 179 motions on various subject matters, including school feeding programs, access to healthcare in the country, road safety, cost of electricity, and investment incentives in the country, as well as social protection measures. Further, 543 questions were processed covering diverse topics such as cost of living, national security, sports management, roads, etc. Moreover, 114 petitions were received, out of which 54 were presented to the House. With regard to the committees, 151 reports were tabled by various committees. The reports were on various matters, including reports on bills, vetting of persons for appointments to various state offices, statutory instruments, inquiries, and petitions. The House also received and considered reports of the Auditor General on the examination of accounts of the national government and various state corporations. These reports and other papers form part of the 2,260 papers that were laid on the table of the House last session. Having said that, honorable members, I wish to bring to the attention of the House the fact that in accordance with the standing orders, certain business that was not dispensed with at the end of the second session has now lapsed. This includes all motions, all statements, questions, and some bills. With regard to the lapsing of bills, I wish to draw the attention of the House to the provision of Standing Order 141, 2B, which provides as follows, and I quote, "Members at the bar, take your seats. The nearest seats. Take the nearest seats. Junet, the nearest seats exclude greeting your colleagues. Thank you. And I quote Standing Order 141 to a bill that has been published, read a first time, or in respect of which the second reading has not been concluded, at the end of 2 consecutive sessions of the same Parliament shall lapse at the end of the second session and may be republished in the same or different form in accordance with Standing Order 114. Consequent to the said provision, the Equalization Fund Bill, National Assembly Bill number 47 of 2022, sponsored by the Honorable Member for Tiati, the Honorable William Kamket MP, lapsed. Regarding questions, Honorable Members, I'm aware that at the end of the second session, 281 questions were transmitted to Cabinet Secretaries, where 125 questions were responded to, leaving 156 awaiting response from respective Cabinet Secretaries. In this regard, where a member is still desirous of obtaining a response to the transmitted questions, I'll permit the leader of the majority party to prioritize such questions when scheduling the appearance of Cabinet Secretaries before the House. Members are therefore advised to visit the questions office to formally indicate such desire by close of business on Thursday, 22nd February 2024. All other questions that had not been transmitted to Cabinet Secretaries, constitutional commissions, and independent officers have lapsed. However, the concerned members are at liberty to refile them afresh if they so wish. Honourable members, having laid out the procedure on the introduction of lapsed business, I now direct that any committee or individual member wishing to introduce any such business to do so in accordance with the standing orders and our parliamentary practice. Honourable members who may not be clear on the procedure are advised to visit the table office for assistance. Honourable members, as we commence this session, it is my sincere hope that the House will build on its impressive performance in the second session to gain traction for an even better performance in the third session. I also wish to draw the attention of the House to the fact that there are a number of committees whose term lapses with the session. These are the House Business Committee, the Committee of Powers and Privileges, and the Committee on Members' Services and Facilities. Consequently, the 3 committees ought to be reconstituted. Indeed, as you have noticed in today's paper, the House is scheduled to consider a motion under Order number 8 on the reconstitution of the House Business Committee. Once approved, the House will adjourn to allow the committee to meet and schedule business for the remainder of the week starting from tomorrow morning. Further, I take this opportunity to urge the Committee on Selection to expedite the nomination of members to serve in the other 2 remaining committees for consideration by the House. Honorable members, you may also recall that on 21st November 2023, I directed the clerk to designate a suitable place in the restaurant within the main parliament buildings for exclusive use by members of parliament. This has not only been done, but in addition, some renovation works have since been undertaken in the members' restaurant and lounge. The improvement of the facilities which extend to the main chamber and other parts of the National Assembly buildings and its courtyards are intended to provide proper facilities in order to facilitate you to carry out your constitutional mandate in a suitable environment. Honorable members, you'll further recall that on the 21st November 2023, I directed the clerk to circulate to all members the revised members' rules for the members' restaurant. I now instruct the clerk to publish the rules and instruct alongside the clerk of the Senate and the Director General to ensure they are enforced. I also urge all members to observe the said rules, particularly Rule number 3, seating restrictions, Rule number 4, admissions of visitors, Rule number 5, dress code, Rule number 6, conduct of members, and Rule number 7, conduct of visitors. In conclusion, honorable members, as we embark on the legislative agenda of the National Assembly for the third session, I urge you all to carry out the sacrosanct duty of being representatives of the people with all dedication. I also wish you success individually as members and collectively as a House as you carry out this noble national duty for the welfare of our people. And I truly wish that from now on we'll have no quorum hitch at the beginning of every session of the House. I thank you. Members at the bar, take your seats. Hold your horses, Senior Counsel. Take your seats, honorable members. Order. Freeze where you are, those who are in the walkway. Order, honorable members. Order. The Honorable Jeho. Is it Jeho? Odugon. Odugon. I'm sure by now you know when the speaker is on his feet or her feet, there's no walking around by members. You freeze where you are. Honorable members have a short communication to recognize a visiting delegation from the National Assembly of Zambia. Honorable members, I wish to introduce to you a delegation from the National Assembly of Zambia, comprising of the first Deputy Speaker, the Honorable Chisangano Malungo, MP, the second Deputy Speaker, the Honorable Moyo Moses Frank, MP. Honorable members, the delegation is accompanied by 6 officers of the National Assembly of Zambia, led by the Deputy Clerk, Mr. Stephen Kawimbe. The delegation is in the country on a study visit to benchmark on the mental health practices and policies that the Parliament of Kenya has put in place for members and staff. The delegation seeks to learn ways of addressing systemic challenges and mitigation measures on mental health at the workplace. Honourable members, on my behalf and that of the Assembly, I welcome them to the House of Parliament and wish them fruitful engagements during their stay. I thank you. Yes, Honorable Senior Counsel Otienda Mola.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as the other members make their way to the chamber, I rise under Standing Order number 1, as read with Standing Order number 29. If the Honorable Wamboka Wanami will take his seat, I will prosecute my point shortly. Mr. Speaker, under Standing Order number 1, It gives you discretion to give direction on any matter not expressly provided for. Under Standing Order number 29, it allows a member or members to request the leader of majority and or the leader of minority for a special sitting. Mr. Speaker, as you may recall, a significant number of members, totaling 41, did request a special sitting to discuss the very important matter of non-disbursement of CDF funds in this country. Mr. Speaker, that communication issued on 1st of February and was duly copied to your office. Mr. Speaker, we have today resumed our regular sittings, but without a response or directions on that request. So the first point of direction, Mr. Speaker, is for you to guide where members who themselves are the one to sit request a special sitting and it is not constituted. How should that request be treated? Mr. Speaker, secondly, your direction on another important thing. On the 5th of December 2023, Mr. Speaker, at the continued push by members, you did issue communication, having been given information that the funds would be disbursed before the end of December. That was on 5th of December. It now appears, Mr. Speaker, that the Cabinet Secretary for Treasury may have misled our Speaker. Where a Cabinet Secretary who is answerable to this House misleads the leader of this House, how should we treat that? Mr. Speaker, I know that we are yet to constitute the House Business Committee. But, Mr. Speaker, this is an important matter where we need direction, because the directions that we are given or we take may well constitute our consideration of whether the House Business Committee as proposed is appropriate or not. Mr. Speaker, with respect, I do not imagine what other businesses we can be discussing when Kenyans are at home, students are at home, because we've not disbursed those funds. Mr. Speaker, without that, I think this sitting should be suspended until further notice. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Order, honorable members. Honorable Otienda Amolo, Senior Counsel, you have a legitimate point, but your prescription is unnecessarily drastic. We can resolve the issue without suspending our sitting, particularly on day one, when we want, in fact, to facilitate you to move the motion if you wish for members to debate. Number one, the letter you wrote, you addressed to the majority leader and the minority leader, only copied to Mr. Speaker. And it's those two leaders who would have then motioned the Speaker to call for a special sitting. None of them did. Order. Order, honorable members, order. So it is not within the Speaker's competence to call for a special sitting. It's within the Speaker's competence to convene a special sitting when he has been motioned by a member, and it's the leadership. But it's now water under the bridge. We're sitting anyway. So we can allocate you time at an appropriate time, not today, so that you can discuss this important issue. Today being the first day, order CNN, I'm sure you know the standing orders. Today being the first day, we don't have a House Business Committee. So there is no business that has been approved and designated to be transacted. Understanding order number one, today after we've cleared the motion on House business, I will only exercise my discretion to allow the woman rep for Elgeyo Marakwet to make a statement on the tragedy that befell one of our most rising athletic stars. It will be a very short statement. I have approved it for the CDF issue. Tomorrow, if you wish, you can file a motion of adjournment, and I'll give you time to debate. But before we do that, I think we will allow the majority leader tomorrow to bring a statement on the issue of disbursement of CDF. I did see a letter written to Mr. Speaker from the Treasury, and I passed it on to the clerk, detailing how the Treasury intends to disburse your CDF and conclude before the next financial year like they did last year. As to the timings, it's administrative, and I'll leave it to the majority leader, who is your interface with the government, to handle and report to the House tomorrow morning. It's so directed. Yes, Wangari.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I rise to just seek your clarification on the communication that you gave, especially on the lapse of business. Yes. And this is specific to questions, yes, being that this is a new model where we have the cabinet secretaries come here and answer questions. And my question and clarification, Mr. Speaker, is that what happens if you file a question and there is no other interest? And I say that because I filed a question to the Cabinet Secretary for Gender, Culture and Arts in April last year. But there has been no other member interested to warrant the CS to come. Why would I be disenfranchised as a member because I was queuing to actually kill that business, yet it was not responded to? I would like your clarification on that, Mr. Speaker.
Yes. Majority Leader, you've heard what the Honorable Member for Gilgil has said, that in bringing ministers to this House, it matters not how many questions have been filed. I think give each dog an opportunity to have a bite. So bring ministers regardless of the number of questions, so that each minister can come and face the House, and supplementaries may arise therefrom. So that, of course, priority goes to those with heavy questions and many questions, but even those with one question, like Wangara's question, you can edge them in for 10, 15 minutes, they finish, then you go to the ones with more questions. Yes, Junet, you have a point of order?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Mr. Speaker, I am guided fully by your direction on the earlier matter of the CDF.
Yes.
But Mr. Speaker, you are also right that we need to have the House Business Committee so that we get into motion,
Yes.
so that we can do business of the House. But Mr. Speaker, the fear of the members is that, if I may bring it to your attention, is that once House gets into business as supposed to be, the executive will not honor their word, they will not keep their word, it will be business as usual. And some of the reasons why the members are raising this matter ahead of the constitution of the House Business Committee is actually to paralyze the House, so that members can get their CDF in time and money can be released to those accounts, Mr. Speaker. So I don't know, Mr. Speaker, how those fears will be allayed. Because if we go back into business as required, because this is the first day of our meeting, of our sitting, then it will be business as usual also for the Treasury Minister. And you will assume that Parliament now is sitting normal. What is this message that we can send to him, that we are serious on this matter and we will not relent, Mr. Speaker? And one of the things that members have agreed upon to be as a whip that I can bring to attention is to paralyze the House once and for all, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, don't allow the House business motion to be moved until money is released to the account of the CDF, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Junet, you know one of the most important strategic thinking components is you must choose your battles very carefully. If you want to do what you're saying you want to do, paralyze a properly constituted house. There's no point paralyzing a house that is not a house yet. Because if you do that, even if you want to frog march the minister here, to flog him and grill him and do whatever you want with him, he cannot come because you will not be properly constituted. So choose your battles very carefully. So what I have a letter which I'll share with the majority and minority leaders from the minister dated 9th January 2024 to Mr. Speaker, detailing how they intend to disburse your funds. And now it's up to them to also do a follow-up. I'll ask the clerk to pass it on to them. The Speaker is not in the habit of reading letters written to him or on the floor of the House. The letter will be shared between the leader of the majority party and the leader of the minority party. After we constitute the House Business Committee, I'll give them more direction on what to do. Yes, Dr. Makali Mulu.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to start by wishing all the members a Happy New Year, including yourself. We agree with your direction, Honorable Speaker, and we respect it. But I think it's also important to learn the lessons. Honorable Speaker, on 5th December, you as the head of this independent institution called Parliament, you did communicate to this House and indicated to us that by 20th December, we'll be getting our CDF into our accounts. So even as we support you, Honorable Speaker, our concern would be a situation where the Honorable Speaker, who is the head of this institution, will keep on giving official communication to this House, and the letter and the spirit of that communication is never respected. So, Honorable Speaker, we want to agree with you that we have whatever, we continue, but I think, Honorable Speaker, it is very important that whatever you communicate to us as our boss is respected by all other authorities in this country. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I think we should, on the same issue. Yes, KJ.
Mr. Speaker, I rise on standing order number 1. Mr. Speaker, I would require your attention. Mr. Speaker, I'm rising on standing order number 1, invoking your discretion, asking for you to actually call this House to order and get onto the procedural business that we need to do so that we can constitute this House properly, because everything that we discuss now it holds no water, Mr. Speaker. In fact, it is an effort in futility to go into a debate before we have constituted the House properly. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm calling upon you and just pleading with you to use your discretion and get into the business of the day so that we can constitute the House properly, and that any business that we prosecute will be properly and procedurally before the House. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Next order.
Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Yes. Majority.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and wish to welcome all members back to the House as I lay the papers. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table and the House today, Tuesday, February 13th, 2024. 1, legal notice number 170 of 2023 relating to the Capital Markets Alternative Investment Funds Regulations 2023 and the explanatory memorandum from the National Treasury. Secondly, legal notice number 171 of 2023 relating to the Capital Markets Credit Rating Agencies Regulations 2023 and the explanatory memorandum from the National Treasury. 3, legal notice number 172 of 2023 relating to the Capital Markets Public Offers, Listing and Disclosures Regulations 2023 and the explanatory memorandum from the National Treasury. 4, legal notice number 173 of 2023 relating to the Capital Markets Collective Investment Schemes Regulations 2023 and the explanatory memorandum from the National Treasury. 5, the Public Procurement Capacity Building Levy Order 2023 from the National Treasury. 6, the proposed Public-Private Partnerships Regulations 2023 from the National Treasury. 7, report of the Auditor General and on national government for the financial year 2023 and 2022-2023. And finally, performance audit report on conservation of heritage sites by the National Museums of Kenya for February 2023 from the Office of the Auditor General. I thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to lay.
Thank you, Majority Leader. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, questions and statements.
Honorable members, let me allow the Honorable Ngelechei to make her short statement. When she finishes, I'll give 3 on this side and 3 on this side to eulogize the late Kelvin Kiptum, and thereafter we go to the next motion.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving the people of Elgeyo Marakwet this opportunity. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 43, I wish to make a statement regarding the untimely passing on of a marathon world record holder, Mr. Kevin Kiptum, on Sunday, 11th February 2024. Honorable Speaker, members will recall that on 12th October 2023, I rose under Standing Order 259D to notify the House of the great achievement of Mr. Kevin Kiptum, who had on 8th October 2023 broken the world record holder.
Order, honorable members, order whips. Can we hear the Honorable Ngelechei in some reasonable degree of silence? I know there's exuberance of post-holiday. Go on, Ngelechei.
Let me start it again, Honorable Speaker. DK. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you once again for giving the people of Elgeyo Marakwet this opportunity. Pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 43, I wish to make a statement regarding the untimely passing on of a marathon world record holder, Mr. Kevin Kiptum, on Sunday, 11th February 2024. Honorable Speaker, members will recall that on 12th October 2023, I rose under Standing Order 259D to notify the House of the great achievements of Mr. Kevin Kiptum, who had on 8th October 2023 broken the world marathon record at Chicago Marathon, becoming the fastest marathoner in the world with a time of 2 hours and 35 seconds, Mr. Speaker. Indeed, the tribute of the House to the national hero were recorded with great compliments. Honorable Speaker, it is therefore with a heavy heart that today the nation mourns the loss of this great sportsman following a tragic road accident on 11th February 2023. At the young age of 24 years, Mr. Kiptum had achieved what many athletes would only dream of. He had successfully conquered Valencia, Chicago, London Marathon, among other top competitions, to which he has left a triumphant legacy as the fastest marathoner of his time, Mr. Speaker. Indeed, it was expected that this conquering sequence would be replicated in the upcoming 2024 Olympics. Honorable Speaker, Mr. Kiptum's narrative transcends the mere passage of time, standing as a testament of his unyielding determination and unwavering fortitude. He was a beacon of hope not only to the people of his village, Chepsamo village, his ward, Kaptarakwa ward, Keyo South constituency of Elgeyo Marakwet County, but also to the many in the country and beyond. I wish to therefore take this early opportunity to condole with the family and his friends of the late Mr. Kevin Kiptum, the athletics fraternity, and the people of Kenya at large for the loss of the extraordinary sportsman. Honorable Speaker, with your indulgence, may I request that we all stand to observe a minute of silence in honor of the departed sportsman.
All honorable members, can you be upstanding? Can we all be upstanding? And let's observe a minute's silence in honor of the young hero.
May his soul rest in eternal peace.
Amen.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Galeche, you have done the speaker's job. I will now allow 3 on either side. Member for Keio South. Member for Keio South.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Gideon.
I join my colleague, the woman Rebel Belkeo Marakwet, in mourning the demise of Kelvin Kiptum. Kelvin Kiptum comes from my constituency.
Take 2 minutes, huh?
In a village called Chepsamu, and we are actually neighbors at home. I knew Kelvin Kiptum personally. We've interacted. He was a member of athletics committee in my constituency, and we are planning great things together. We sympathize with the family. We mourn with the family, his spouse, the father and the mother. Actually, Kelvin was the only son in that family, the only child, actually. We mourn with the constituency of Keio South. I lead the constituency in mourning the death of Kelvin. But Mr. Speaker, as we mourn the death of Kelvin, some actions must be taken by the Ministry of Sports. We remember the death of Wanjiru, who was a promising star. Actually, he died at the age of 24, the same as Kelvin Kiptum. Another several. We remember the lady who was killed in Iten under mysterious circumstances. So we call on the Ministry of Sports that they must take our athletes seriously, because some of them are young and they are promising careers, but they are left on their own. But when they are outside there, when they represent Kenya, we all celebrate. But once they are here, they are left on their own. We must ask the Ministry of Sports to support our athletes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Kalango.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. The constituency of Langata joins the whole country in mourning the death of Kelvin Kiptum, a rising star. And this is so sad that he was supposed to represent the country in the 2024 Olympics in Paris, France. But even as we mourn the death of Kelvin, having listened to what his father said, I think there should be a thorough investigation to what actually caused the accident. And apart from that, we need and request that our athletes be treated as VIPs and be given security, and all our top athletes who represent this country bring the accolades, and they're always just celebrated. Immediately, they get their medals. After that, they are forgotten about. Kindly, we request that a thorough investigation be done to the cause of this accident that led to the death of Kelvin Kiptum. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mama Zamzam.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika, na mimi kama mama Mombasa nachukua fursa hii kutoa rambirambi zangu za pole pamoja na wakazi wa Mombasa kwa familia ya Kelvin Kiptum. Alikuwa ni shujaa, alikuwa kijana mahiri katika mbio na mimi sana naweza kupeleka pole zangu kwa babake ambaye alilia sana kwa uchungu, akisema ni mtoto wake wa pekee. Na alisema, Mheshimiwa Spika, nikinukuu, kuwa kuna watu walikwenda nyumbani, alikuwa hajui ni watu gani, lakini wakawa wamesema wametumwa kutoka sehemu fulani. Kwa hiyo na mimi pia naweza kupigia pondo nikisema hii yake ichunguzwe, ijulikaniwe, pengine kuna mkono wa mtu ama ni vipi, Mheshimiwa Spika. Na si yeye peke yake, Mheshimiwa Spika, nikumbuke pia na mabinti zetu, watoto wetu wa kike ambao wameuliwa hivi karibuni ovyo ovyo. Mwenyezi Mungu pia na Mheshimiwa Spika, pia natoa rambirambi zangu za pole kwa familia zao, na niweze kusema kuwa serikali iweze kuangalia vifo hivi vinavyotokea hasa kwa kina mama, ni vipo vya kusikitisha sana. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika.
Member for Endebess.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir, for allowing me to join my colleagues in sending message of condolence to the family of our athlete, Kelvin Kiptum. Honorable Speaker, this is a very sad moment for our country and for a young man at the age of 24 losing his life at just not even before his prime. Honorable Speaker, I think what I would urge the Ministry of Sports to do is that we need to have a culture or a format in which we are able to counsel our athletes, make sure that we are able to advise them on how to even, once they qualify to become good athletes, they can be able to be guided properly so that they can be able to live in a more better way. Especially, Honorable Speaker, sometimes you look at some of the athletes who have made this country great, and you look at the life they are leading is in abject poverty after many years of doing very well, making a lot of money for the country and for themselves, and they're ending up in a miserable state. So we need to be able to even guide them on how they can invest and make better lives for themselves later on. We've seen some who have done very successfully. We've seen recently there's others who have even put up the Leo Village in Eldoret, which is a very innovative way of retirement. So, Honorable Speaker, I want to join the colleagues to say pole sana to the family of Kelvin Kiptum, pole sana to the parent losing his only son, and pole to my colleague, the member for Keyo South, for the loss of his constituent.
Irene Mayaka.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to take this opportunity on behalf of the young people of Kenya to express my sincere condolences to Kelvin Kiptum and also to his Rwandese coach, who also perished in the same road accident. And Honorable Speaker, I just want to join my colleagues, even as we say pole to the family, having lost a dependent. And this goes back to the question that Honorable Martha Wangari raised, because we raised questions here concerning the sports, the nature of the insurance and the life insurance for our sports people, so that even such families can get to benefit from life insurance. Honorable Speaker, secondly, I just also want to express my condolences to the people of Kenya, and also to just say that in the last 2 days, we've seen a lot of insensitive information going out on social media. And I'd just like to urge fellow Kenyans that we should not jump into conclusions, and we should be very careful in terms of the things that you're saying out there, because they're insensitive and they're not fair to the family. Honorable Speaker, once again, my sincere apologies to the family and to my colleague, the member of Elgeyo Marakwet, and also to Keyo. Thank you.
Mutunga, member for...
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to also pass on my condolences to the family of Kelvin Kiptum. Honorable Speaker, this is a young man who was right at the top of the world, having worked his way through. Honorable Speaker, he was an encouragement to many, and many Kenyans for that matter, because when he flies the flag of this country in those areas where he has won marathon, he makes Kenya proud. He takes our position on the map. Honourable Speaker, to mourn this young man, this great leader in marathon, I call upon the Kenyans who are engaged in this particular game to work very hard and practice very hard to still take this position because it's a Kenyan position. Honourable Speaker, to the family, the friends, and even neighbors of this fallen hero, we pass our condolences. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
I've taken 3-3. I had promised 3-3. We have done 3-3. I think we can stop there. Honourable Tim, you will speak another time. Let's go to the next order.
Order number 8, motion, appointment of members to the House Business Committee.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and allow me, Honourable Speaker, to also take this opportunity to first say Happy New Year to all members and to welcome them back to the House in this good year 2024. And Honourable Speaker, as you indicated, I do pray that the House will be quiet the way it was this afternoon as we began. Honourable Speaker, you noted even the Honourable Junet today was right on time. Unlike last year, and I want to believe that this year he will be a changed man. Honourable Speaker, also allow me as Chair of the Parliamentary Service Commission to congratulate you for the good work that you have done around the precincts of Parliament, right from the gate, Honourable Speaker. As we drove in today, you can't fail to notice the changes that are there. Honourable Speaker, even as you walk into this chamber, previously, Honourable Speaker, and you know your skin complexion is not very dark, we would struggle to see you. But now we can clearly see you. The lighting above your seat is quite impressive. And so is the lighting also in the chamber, Honourable Speaker. And I also did notice at times you have had to struggle to be heard because of the height of the microphone on your desk, and now it's quite audible from where you stand. Honourable Speaker, congratulations, and I hope that the clerk's office and that of the clerk in the Senate, as the Secretary of the Commission, will endeavor to maintain these standards so that even as these facilities age, repairs and maintenance are done occasionally when the House is not sitting. Honourable Speaker, I then beg to move that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Orders 171(1)(f), this House approves the appointment of the following members to the House Business Committee, in addition to those specified under paragraph A, B, C, D, and E. 1, the Honourable Omboko Milemba, CBS MP. 2, the Honourable Robert Mbui, CBS MP. 3, the Honourable Faith Wairimo Getao, MP. 4, the Honourable Samuel K. Chepkonga, CBS MP. 5, the Honourable Adan Welie Kainan, CBS MP. 6, the Honourable Tom Joseph Francis Kajwang, MP. Sorry, the Honourable Tom Joseph Francis Kajwang, MP. 7, the Honourable Sarah Paulata Korere, MP. 8, the Honourable Joshua Mbithi Mwalio, MP. 9, the Honourable Umul Kher Kasim Sheikh, MP. Honourable Speaker, these 9 members shall be nominated. Is required, Honourable Speaker, that these 9 members, in addition to those that are already provided for in under standing orders by virtue of the offices they hold, these 9 will be nominated by political parties and approved by the House at the commencement, Honourable Speaker, as you indicated, of every session, and this being the beginning of a new session, we are then bound to approve these members. Honourable Speaker, members will note that the membership of the committee has remained as it were in the last session. As Honourable Speaker, we thought as the House leadership that this will ensure there is some institutional memory of the committee and its operations as we begin this new year. Honourable Speaker, I therefore urge the House to approve these members so as to kickstart the very important business schedule for this part of the third session and the overall fulfillment of our constitutional mandate as the people's representatives. Honorable Speaker, with those few remarks, I beg to move, and I want to ask my counterpart and good friend, the Honorable Pio Wandai, the leader of Minority Party, to second the motion for approval. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Good friend, the floor is for you.
The Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. As I second the motion, let me also take this opportunity to welcome fellow members back to the House after a fairly long recess. It's a recess that has enabled us to interact with our constituents and Kenyans in general. Honorable Speaker, this past recess has enabled me to visit, I think, your constituency. I was able to be hosted by Honorable Tim Wanyonyi in Kandui constituency, and that, I'm sure, is an indication that perhaps next time I come, I could be hosted by yourself, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this recess...
You are most welcome.
This recess has also given us an opportunity to actually know ourselves better and to know our colleagues. I must acknowledge, Mr. Speaker, that during this recess, the Honorable Wanami Mwamboka, member for Bomula, struck me as a very, very fearless defender of the people. He's a man to watch, not only in Bungoma, but the entire nation. So I must congratulate Honorable Wanami for remaining steadfast. Let me say this, that really we need to approve this list, approve the list of nominees to the House Business Committee, if only to embark on business in earnest, especially the business of the NGCDF, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I heard your counsel, I heard your advice, Honorable Junet, a while back. And if I'm to take cue from what you said, let me say this, that the matter of NGCDF and NGAF is so serious that I don't think it can be wished away. And let me just give notice. Mr. Speaker, like you and Honorable Ichungwa, these members are our electors. Our constituency is here. But the mood I sense, the mood which is prevailing currently, is such that even if we pass this motion, the first business after the passage of this motion, and not tomorrow morning, because tomorrow morning ordinarily is not so much work, but tomorrow afternoon, Mr. Speaker, tomorrow at 2:30 p.m., if we wouldn't have been told that monies have been disbursed to the NGCDF committee accounts in the constituencies, and in the absence of satisfactory explanation, I think it will be fair that we pend business from that time tomorrow, and pend it totally, until such a time that we shall be convinced. And the Honorable Chair is looking at me, Honorable Sirma, Musa Sirma, please, let's not get there. Let's not get there. The National Treasury has got time between now and tomorrow 2:30 p.m. to remit NGCDF and NGAF monies to their respective accounts, so that tomorrow when we come here and such remittances are not confirmed, then the law of nature should take its course. Otherwise, with all those preliminary remarks, I second. Thank you.
Order, honorable members. Order. Order. Honorable members, I now propose the question, which is that pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 171(1)F, this House approves the appointment of the following members to the House Business Committee, in addition to those specified under paragraphs A, B, C, D, and E. The Honorable Mboko Mlemba, CBS MP, the Honorable Robert Mbui, CBS MP, the Honorable Faith Wairimu Gitau MP, the Honorable Samuel K. Chepkonga, CBS MP, the Honorable Adan Wahilie Kainan, CBS MP, the Honorable Tom Joseph Francis Kajwang MP, the Honorable Sarah Paulata Korere MP, the Honorable Joshua Mbidi Mwalio MP, and the Honorable Umul Khair Kasim Sheikh MP. Can we put the question? I now put the question, honorable members, which is that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 171-1F, this House approves the appointment of the following members to the House Business Committee, in addition to those specified under paragraphs A, B, C, D, and E. The Honorable Mboko Milemba, CBS MP, the Honorable Robert Mbui, CBS MP, Honorable Okello. When the Speaker is communicating, you are duty-bound to remain silent. You are now causing even more problems. The Honorable Faith Wairimu Gitau MP, the Honorable Samuel K. Chepkonga, CBS MP, the Honorable Adan Wahilie Kainan, CBS MP, the Honorable Tom Joseph Francis Kajwang MP, the Honorable Sarah Paulata Correre MP, the Honorable Joshua Mbithi Mwali MP, and the Honorable Umul Khair Kazim Sheikh MP. As members of that opinion say aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Honorable members, you may now be upstanding. It's the end of our business today. All the members who have been approved by the House as members of the House Business Committee, you meet in committee room number 9 in the next 10 minutes to program business for the House. Honorable members, we now stand adjourned until tomorrow, Wednesday, 14th February 2023 at 9:30 a.m.
Seneta James Orengo ambaye leo hii ni gavana. Na miongoni mwa sababu zangu za kuomba bunge hili iweze kuregesha kamati kama hiyo ni kwa sababu ya ripoti kama ile ya Buxton Estate. Tulipeana mapendekezo yaweze kuregesha wale waliokuwa wakaazi wa eneo lile. Lakini kwa sababu sheria imetufunga mkono, Bwana Spika, hatuwezi kufuatilia beyond mapendekezo ambayo tumepeana. Kwa hivyo ningependa sana itakapokuja mswada kama ule muweze kuniunga mkono ili tuweze kuunda kamati ya kuweza kufuatilia zile ripoti ambazo tunaziandika katika bunge hili. Tatu, Bwana Spika, ukiweza kuangalia macho yako katika bunge hili, utaona karibu kina mama sote tumevaa nguo nyeusi, na tumevaa hizi nguo nyeusi tukiashiria kusimama na yale mashirika yasiyo ya kiserikali ambayo yamekuwa yakipiga kelele kuhusiana na wale watoto wa kike ambao wameuliwa kiholela holela tu kwa sababu ni wanawake. Kauli yangu mbiu ni kwa vijana na wazee, Bwana Spika, kuambia ya kwamba sisi wanawake kweli tuna mapungufu yetu kama wanadamu, lakini mtoto wa kike hapigwi hata kuuawa. Ukitaka kupiga mtoto wa kike, nunua kanga umpige na upande wa kanga. Inawezekana kweli kuna makosa ya hapa na pale, lakini haimaanishi uweze kuangamiza na kumaliza maisha ya mtoto wa kike. Kwa hivyo ningependa ndugu zangu maseneta wa bunge wa seneti wa kiume muweze kusimama na sisi, kwa sababu ukifuga nyoka leo ataua mtoto wa kike, kesho atakuja pia ataua mtoto wako wa kiume. Kwa hayo mengi, Bwana Spika, asante na niwatakie heri na fanaka za mwaka huu wa 2024, na niwashukuru pia wale vigogo walionitangulia kwa kuweza kunishika mkono hadi kupendekeza miswada mitatu ambao mmoja wao uko katika nafasi ya pili ya second reading. Niwaombe viongozi wenzangu, mswada wa kumsimamia mtoto wa kike arudi shule ni mswada ambao utaondosha nchi yetu katika umaskini, kwa sababu itampa fursa yule mtoto ambaye ametelekezwa katika masomo yake kupata fursa ya pili, kuondosha uchochole katika jamii yake. Kwa hivyo nawaomba tutakaporudi muweze kupitisha mswada wa Child and Protection of Parents, Child Parents Bill. Asanteni sana, Mwenyezi Mungu awabariki.
Senator Oburu.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like to take this opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to wish you a very, very happy New Year, Mr. Speaker, and your family, and a very, very prosperous New Year. I would also like to do the same to my fellow members of the Senate. I wish them a very, very prosperous New Year. Mr. Speaker, as we start the session, and we are today approving the list of the House Business Committee, Mr. Speaker, I just want us to reflect a little on some of the things which transpired and which I personally would not like to see again. Mr. Speaker, in the last Parliament, we passed quite a number of bills. Some of them were signed into law. You said some of them are stuck in the National Assembly. And Mr. Speaker, there were also so many motions passed, and there were many questions answered. And Mr. Speaker, I really appreciate the amount of work which was done by this Senate. I was a member of the East African Legislative Assembly, Mr. Speaker, and we did not do as much work as we do in the Senate here. There we had a different type of system, and we did work which was completely different, but it was not as much as what I have experienced here in the Senate. Mr. Speaker, there's one issue which I would not like to see repeated, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Halwale was speaking about the governors trying to teach us what to do or even to tell us, ask us to support them in some issues. And Mr. Speaker, it is our responsibility to support the county governments. It is our responsibility to protect them. And Mr. Speaker, that includes propelling their issues. And Mr. Speaker, when it comes to allocation of revenue, I would have thought that members of the Senate would be the first to support proposals, particularly from the Revenue Allocation Commission, and also based on the rationality which was given to us here, Mr. Speaker, but we opposed it, and I don't want the debate to open again, but I hope that we shall not again continue with the same trend of not supporting the devolved units like the county governments, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also saw something which happened last time, which I would not like to see repeated again. Mr. Speaker, there was a situation where a chairman of a committee, and I don't want to say which committee, Mr. Speaker, came here in the morning, presented to us a detailed report of a committee which they had worked on for more than 3 months. Mr. Speaker, we stood up and contributed and supported the chairman. And then in the afternoon, Mr. Speaker, the same chairman comes up and withdraws the same report, which was not his report. It was a report of a committee. Mr. Speaker, perhaps we shall improve and we shall not see such a situation again. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, I support the proposed committee which has been proposed here, and I wish everybody a very, very successful deliberation in this new session. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Kinyua.
Asante Bwana Spika kwa kunipa fursa hii. Kwanza mwanzo nataka kuungana na wenzangu kutakia kutuma risala zangu za rambirambi kwa familia ya mwanariadha Kelvin ambaye aliaga dunia. Bwana Spika, mswada huu wa kamati ya shughuli katika bunge naunga mkono kwa sababu maseneta walioko katika kamati hii ni maseneta ambao kwa wakati ule mwingine walikuwa bado ni wao. Kwa hivyo ni watu ambao wako na uzoefu, Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, nimemsikiza seneta wa Taita, Seneta Mungatana, Bwana Spika, akisema ya kwamba ni vizuri tuwe na kamati ambayo itakuwa ikitekeleza majukumu ambayo ama mapendekezo ambayo yameletwa na kamati zingine, Bwana Spika. Na hilo ninaona ni jambo zuri kabisa, Bwana Spika, kwa sababu mapendekezo yanayoletwa na kamati, na sio kamati tu, Bwana Spika, hata na bunge hili yanabaki kuwa tu ni mapendekezo, Bwana Spika, ambayo hayashughulikiwi, Bwana Spika. Kwa hivyo, Bwana Spika, mimi nataka kukubaliana na yeye, na pengine wakati huu kwa sababu tayari tumeanza na mwanzo mzuri, pengine itakuwa ni jambo zuri likishughulikiwa, Bwana Spika, na Seneti itaonekana sio tu mapendekezo inafanya, lakini vile vile tunayatekeleza yale mapendekezo. Bwana Spika, vile vile nachukua fursa hii kuwatakia mwaka mpya wenye mafanikio maseneta wote, na vile vile niwatakie watu wa Laikipia mwaka mpya wenye mafanikio, na vile vile niungane na maseneta kukutakia mwaka mpya hata wewe ulio na mafanikio, na nashukuru.
Senator Sifuna.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Allow me to also wish my colleagues Happy New Year. It's good to see all of you, including you, Mr. Speaker. And it's quite telling that this is one of a few committees where there's very little contestation. I don't see as much interest from members to be part of this committee as others. And I was just asking my colleagues who have served with me on that committee in the previous session, Mr. Speaker, it could be because this is one of those committees in this House that does not have the usual trappings and perks of other committees. There are no trips for the Senate Business Committee. In fact, Mr. Speaker, there are no perks that I am aware of. And this is one of those committees that cannot be adjourned for lack of quorum. So if you are a member of this committee, you must show up for meetings of this committee. And I suspect that is why the interest is not as high as the impending committee on impeachment of the governor of Kisii County that I've had here. Mr. Speaker, it has been the privilege of my life, my short life in this house, to serve on the SBC. I know just what awaits us in terms of scheduling business for this house. We have struggled with the many requests we got from members when it came to instances, for instance, on question time to cabinet secretaries. And I know now that the minority side also fully participates on this issue of questioning cabinet secretaries before this house. There's going to be an overwhelming number of requests for questions to put to cabinet secretaries. I can only hope that this house, through its leadership, can communicate to the CSS that we would expect full, cooperation from these cabinet secretaries for us to be able to execute the business of the house. Mr. Speaker, I may be the only one, but every time you flip a calendar, the expectation is that you will turn a new leaf in your life also. My expectation during this session was to see the best side of my colleagues here. But some of the comments that have already gone ahead have dampened my spirit and my expectation that some of my colleagues return the very same people we said goodbye to in December. And in the sort of debate that we're going to have here, Mr. Speaker, I was hoping to see a change, that we are new people, that we would give opportunity to new ideas and new thoughts, that we will listen to each other better, that we will not use this opportunity to rile up each other. If, for instance, there is a critical matter, such as a matter that was involving both sides of a political divide as a bipartisan report, some of the comments that I have heard from my colleagues leave me very wary of what we can expect in this session. And I know the majority leader must have been as offended as I have been by some of the comments directed at a committee that he served very ably and was able to midwife a child under very difficult political circumstances. Mr. Speaker, also last year we had cautioned that as a house we should not be preempting our own business, so that people should not be anticipating debate and making comments that lend themselves to some of the attacks we have received as a house, that matters come here when there is already a predetermined outcome. It has broken my heart, Mr. Speaker, for people to speak about business that might come before this house in a manner that suggests that decisions have already been reached. Even before we are seized of those matters, it is quite heartbreaking that indeed some people turn the calendars in their houses, but they never turn a new leaf in their own lives and in their own conduct as elected leaders. Mr. Speaker, I want to reiterate my commitment as a member of this, proposed member of this committee, that in fact, if approved by this House, I will dedicate my time as required to be able to conduct the business of the SBC, and some of the things that, because members, the proposed members have not gotten to speak, ordinarily we shouldn't speak, is that, Mr. Speaker, we make other sacrifices to be members of the Senate Business Committee. You have seen in other instances, members argue, oh, so-and-so is on 4 committees, so has too many committees, and they start with the SBC as if it is a regular committee. So then you hear people saying, no, Sifuna must now leave the Energy Committee, he must now concentrate fully on the SBC, with all its, lack of the perks that I have described here. So, Mr. Speaker, I believe that my colleagues who have served on that committee in the previous session have given their best in the service of this House, and I am sure that their commitment is unwavering for us to be able to deliver the mandate of this House. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, yesterday I was at a burial, and the preacher who gave the preaching there said something profound to me, that life at its best is very, very short. Mr. Speaker, I could not believe when I heard the news about Kelvin Kiptum that just when his career was taking off, just when he was becoming a global brand, just when everything looked up for him, we lost that young man in the most tragic of circumstances. I want to also take this opportunity on my own behalf, on behalf of my family, on behalf of the ODM party, for which I am the SG, to condole with the family of Kelvin Kiptum, and to just say that we pray that God rests his soul in eternal peace. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Mundigi.
Asante Bwana Spika, yangu naunga mkono kwa wale watu wamechaguliwa ndio waweze kutuongoza, na pia nawashukuru kwa ile kazi walifanya mwaka jana. Kwa hivyo tunajua hata mwaka huu kama walifanya percentage kidogo, sasa wataongezea na sisi tutakuwa tukifanya kazi pamoja. Ya pili, naunga mkono spika wetu na pia maseneta wote na wafanyikazi na kiraka na wafanyikazi wako kwa ile kazi mlifanya mwaka jana, na pia tuliko na hakika hata mwaka huu tutafanya kazi pamoja ndio tuweze kupandilisha nchi yetu ya Kenya. Mambo ya kazi, tunajua senators, sisi mazungumzo yetu huwa tunazungumza juu ya devolution, na tunajua pesa zile tulipatia mangavana mwaka jana ni kama wakati tumeenda masinani ni kama kulikuwa na shida nyingi sana. Ningeomba tu tuweze kuangalia mwaka huu tuweze kuona vile kaunti nyingi zitaweza kuongezwa hizo pesa juu ya mambo ya elimu, mambo ya afya na mambo ya agriculture na department zile zingine. Ya pili ni mambo ambaye tunasikia deputy ametimuliwa, na pia tunajua ni kama mwaka jana vile tulikuwa tumesikia deputy wa Kisumu alikuwa ametimuliwa. Ningeomba wale watu wataenda kuangalia maneno waweze kuangalia na njia ile inafaa, kwa sababu tunajua governor ndiye anakuanga na mambo ya pesa, na sasa tunasikia deputy ndiye anatimuliwa. Kwa hiyo ningeomba wale wataangalia hiyo maneno waangalie na njia ile inafaa. Ya mwisho naongea mambo kuhusu pombe na dawa za kulevya. Watu wengi wamejua katika Kenya vijana wetu wamepotea, kazi yao ni kukunywa pombe na dawa za kulevya na vitu zingine. Unakuta inakuwa nchi yetu inaendelea kusoroteka juu ya vijana. Nikikumbusha Senate, nakumbusha nyinyi wiki jana huko Kirinyaga vijana wetu na kina mama walikufa juu ya hiyo pombe. Kwa hiyo mwaka huu ningeomba pia Senate ikienda kupitisha pesa tuweze kuona kama kuna pesa itatengwa, kila county iweze kuwa na pesa ya kuweza kufunza hao watu na pia kuwaonyesha njia ile inafaa. Asante. Kwa hivyo naunga mkono Bwana Spika. Ni mimi Senator wa Embu County ambaye ni deputy party leader wa Democratic Party. Asante.
Now, honorable senators, kindly avoid commenting on the matter touching on the impeachment of the deputy governor, because doing so is anticipating debate. Senator Eddie Okech.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and Happy New Year to you and all the members of the House. Mine is actually a very short comment. I want my brother and also my leader, Senator Sifuna, not to worry about a few voices that might not have appreciated the work that this committee has done in the first session. Indeed, you know, Martin Luther King did say that if you are a street sweeper, just sweep the street so well that even if there's nobody who can be able to acknowledge on earth, the angels in heaven will see that the work that you've done has been very nice and will appreciate you. I want to say categorically that this particular committee and the individuals who have been in this committee in the first session, Mr. Speaker, have done amazing job. I mean, my experience in the House in that first session, that I do actually believe that has been by large because of this committee. And the work that this committee did in the first session, and the individuals, of course, that are still there, including Sifuna, was amazing. I think that this year, you will do better. It doesn't mean that last year was bad or last session was bad. And I just wanted to urge that primarily the pride of our labor in this House is that I think that's the biggest legacy, that leave this House sometimes and bent double. Indeed, I did pass laws. I know that last year the committee did try to adjust on the time for statements so that you could give more room to the passing of bills. But indeed this year, I hope that I want to wish you the courage to even find some more adventurous ways to be able to ensure that we can be able to pass, to deliberate on more bills. I think that there is, from what you talked about, Mr. Speaker, it seems like there's a bulk of bills that have not been addressed in this House. That would be the only gap that I'm seeing, but I support this committee. It has got very serious, capable leaders who have been interacted within this House, starting from Senator Roba, who has been the chair of Finance and Budget, as well as my dear sister, Senator Mutinda, who is also the vice chair there. I've had a very amazing time working with them in those committees, and they've done a great job. We've always seen the grit and the wisdom of the Wakili, Hillary, when he takes, that chair when you're not there, Mr. Speaker, doing an amazing job. I mean, I can talk about all these different individuals, and they're just amazing individuals. So we wish you well this year. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, let me also take my humble time to actually pass my deepest condolences and share in this pain of the loss of one Kelvin Kiptum. Mr. Speaker, I can't start talking about how sad I feel about this loss, because some of us young people who have been motivated by seeing how much commitment and how much hard work goes to our athletes in this country. I remember when Kipchoge, Eliud, was attempting to do a sub-2, Mr. Speaker, that entire day we as young people camped at KICC to be able to witness this great man making history. And this year, one of my biggest delights for this year, and one of the things I wanted to see was somebody doing it actually in official time. And we really were hoping that Kevin would bring this home to the country. And therefore, it's a very, very painful experience that I cannot explain, not only in the DNA of the nation, but even to the family. But with the same weight, Mr. Speaker, I don't want us to forget to take this humble opportunity also to say sorry to the family of his coach, Mr. Akizimana, who was a Rwandese, by citizenship, but actually did dedicate his time, rising just recently to the elite coaching levels in the athletic world. I think that this House cannot forget him, because indeed he was the biggest partner to Kevin and also gave so much to this country. And I want to take this opportunity as a senator in Kenya to also pass our deepest condolences and share in the pain of his family in Rwanda, as well as the Rwandese Athletic Federation, for that big loss that they also experience. And I hope that as a country, we will stand with both of them together, because it is on their shoulders that this country prides in the kind of fame that they have given us. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, I look forward to this session, and I hope that we'll give the country the best with the little time that we might have in this House this year. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Abbas.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, first and foremost, I think I want to thank God for giving us the opportunity to come back again here. I can see there are a lot of bright faces here. We are all safe and sound. To Honorable Speaker, this House has the responsibility to oversee devolution. If there's no devolution, I think Senate will not be there. And as it is today, and as chairman of the devolution committee, devolution now is actually under threat from two issues, but mainly two issues. One is that, there's a runaway corruption that is actually invested within the counties. And for sure, if we just keep our eyes closed, then I think devolution will not be able to work as it is, and it will not be able to achieve what we want to achieve. And therefore, that now the Senate has received the oversight funds, at least something has been received, first tranche. I want to ask my colleagues that this time we need to enhance the oversight. I think, Honorable Speaker, I would suggest that we form what we call some kind of regional approach, where the senators from certain regions can collaborate with the little money they have and work as a team, I think that's the time you can be able to deliver a better result than running around individually. Otherwise, I think we will not be able to save devolution. Two, devolution is actually under threat because of, the funds are not being released on time. As we talk now, the last time the governors received their money, the counties, I think it was the one of October or September. There's a lot of backlog in payment. The staff are paid from banks. And as you're aware now, the interest rate for banks have now increased. And therefore, the counties are facing a lot of challenges. Despite the corruption going on, but of course, the delay is actually causing unnecessarily due sufferings, especially for the county to deliver. Two, I think the finance committee chair is here. The additional fund has not up to now been released. The grants have not been released. I think this house has took this thing serious, and we need to release that fund so that these counties can work and deliver. Honorable Speaker, we are now in the third session, the third year almost. What's remaining another 3 years, so for us to deliver. So we need, I think, to pull up our socks, to work extra mile, so that we can be able to deliver and see the strength, devolution work is strengthened. That because there's so many other bendy bills, we also need to follow up on those bendy bills in every county, and to see that those people who give services to and goods and services to the counties receive their money, because many businessmen are going out of business because their money has not been paid in time. There are others missing for the last 10 years. Some of them have gone out of business, and therefore, I want us actually to take that one seriously also, and see that Kenyans are paid their money, because they have worked hard for their money. They are businessmen, and the businessmen actually have been accused. One other thing is, Honorable Speaker, I think in the last two sessions, there are so many bending and done businesses in this house. Especially bills, almost 40 bills have not been passed. Out of maybe 52 or 50, I don't know how many there are. Therefore, and I think the problem is that there are too many statements. Too many statements, Honorable Speaker. I will also suggest the House Business Committee should prioritize the bills this time around. Honorable Speaker, can you protect us, please? I think the majority leader is interrupting my
Majority
time.
Leader, kindly consult in Lawton. Allow the Senator Abbas to conclude.
I'll finish. So, Honorable Speaker, what I'm saying is, I think much of our time is being consumed by statements. You are seeing 20 statements being made, and most of them are interrelated. So I think I would request the House Business to take the matter serious and to limit the statements. This time around, we must be able to complete our bills. With those few remarks, I want to support the bill. Thank you, Speaker.
Senator Cheptumo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support this motion. And Mr. Speaker, Standing Order 194 is really very clear as to the responsibility of the House Business Committee. And Mr. Speaker, it is therefore true that this committee is critical in performance of the functions of this House. And I would like to really thank this membership, because in this second session, Mr. Speaker, they have been able to do a very commendable job. And I believe, Mr. Speaker, even as you proceed now in this session, they will continue to do exactly what you've done even in the previous session. Mr. Speaker, I have two issues I would want to urge the committee to consider. There has been a debate, Mr. Speaker, whether we should have the Committee on Implementation. Mr. Speaker, in the other house, you remember when you served with you in the National Assembly, we have a Committee on Implementation to ensure resolutions of the House are actually implemented by the government. In this Senate, Mr. Speaker, there has been a discussion whether we should have one. Mr. Speaker, I strongly recommend to the House Business Committee to consider having these, our standing orders amended so that we have a committee on implementation. Mr. Speaker, Senate should not act in vain. We should be able to ensure that whatever we pass here in terms of resolution are actually acted upon by the relevant state agencies and so on. Mr. Speaker, the other issue is the regional economic blocks, which in my view, Mr. Speaker, plays a critical role in ensuring that counties cooperate together and be able to share in their growth economically. It enhances opportunities for employment. And Mr. Speaker, what is lacking from where I sit is there is no legal framework to ensure that those economic blocks work very well. I think it is important for this House, Mr. Speaker, in this session, and this goes to the chairman, I think he has left, on devolution, so that at least to ensure that these economic blocks, Mr. Speaker, are able to work and therefore establish legal framework that is able to give them the legal capacity to proceed. Finally, Mr. Speaker, this House should be able also to look at some of the critical issues affecting the counties. Mr. Speaker, insecurity in this country is affecting 7 counties, Mr. Speaker. Cattle rustling, banditry, expansion, and so on, Mr. Speaker. So that today, Mr. Speaker, there are 7 counties in this country: Baringo, Elgeyo Marakwet, Turkana, West Pokot, Isiolo, Marsabit, and so on, Mr. Speaker, where there is no peace enjoyed by the population. So this House, Mr. Speaker, I will be moving a motion, and I know the House Business Committee will approve, I hope so that, Mr. Speaker, we discuss this issue extensively as a House, so that we have these, our people live in peace, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I support the motion, and I want to wish this team well as they begin this session. Mr. Speaker, allow me to finally also join my colleagues in expressing my condolences to the family of Kevin Kiptum for the unfortunate demise of that very young man, and we say sorry to his family and this country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support.
Senator Kisang.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, on the onset, I arise to support the motion for nomination of the members to serve in the Senate Business Committee, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, these are continuing members. They served in the first session, second session, and now the third session. Basically, Senate will not need to spend resources on capacity building, on training, Honorable Speaker, because they already have experience, they have been trained. Honorable Speaker, finally, the main reason why I wanted to speak is on behalf of the great people of Elgeyo Marakwet County, my family, I wish to convey my condolences to the family of Kelvin Kiptum. Kiptum was from Elgeyo Marakwet County, Kipsamoa village, Chepkoria location. This was a very young, promising man who ran last year Chicago Marathon in 2 hours and 35 seconds. Basically, we thought this year he was going to run under 2 hours, Honorable Speaker, but it's unfortunate that he passed on Sunday night through a road accident, Honorable Speaker. And as the Senator, I wish to convey our condolences both to his family, relatives, the great people of Elgeyo Marakwet County, and Kenyans at large, and also the family of his coach in Rwanda and both in Kenya, Honorable Speaker. It's unfortunate that this is a young man who was going to go very far. He ran his first race 2018 on a borrowed shoes, Honorable Speaker. And he was going to be a great man, but because it has happened, we don't have a choice. Ours is to accept that it was God's will at this particular time. The family is very young, and I urge the government of Kenya Kwanza to take to give him a good state burial, Honorable Speaker. I thank also the CS for Sports and Youth because he was there yesterday to condole with us, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I believe tomorrow we'll have a motion on this particular issue. I don't want to take much time because I believe the Senate Business Committee wants to go and meet and set up business for us from tomorrow onwards. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Nyamu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am very excited to be in this third session of this Senate proceedings. And Mr. Speaker, the recess that we have just had has been one of the most fulfilling for me because I got to interact with the real issues that my people in Nairobi are facing. I had the opportunity to have Christmas with children in Mathare and widows of Korogosho and young mothers, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, at the beginning of the year, my foundation was privileged to offer full secondary school education scholarship to the needy. And Mr. Speaker, what that presented for me is the glaring inequality that presents itself in the lack of free secondary education, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is very heartbreaking that even today, to date as we speak, we have students, bright students who did exemplarily well in school, but have not yet reported to school because they are not able to afford, or their parents are not able to afford the demands that come with secondary school education, and that includes the uniform, the tuition fees, and all that, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, even if we chose, all of us here today, to sponsor 20, 50 students, it will still not be enough. It will still not be sufficient. And so, Mr. Speaker, as a country, as a leadership, we have failed the students of this country, and I am looking forward to this Senate, this session, coming up with lasting solutions through bills, Mr. Speaker, through influence of policy, so that we can give all children an opportunity to have an education, because, Mr. Speaker, all of us, if not most of us here, are products of education. And so the least we can do, Mr. Speaker, we can shelve everything else, but let us have all the children of Kenya educated, no matter the background and no matter where they come from. And Mr. Speaker, let me take this opportunity to join the entire country in mourning the very painful death of Master Kelvin Kiptum, who lost his life in a tragic accident. And as a people of Kenya, we have lost part of our story. We have lost part of our history because his potential we didn't get to experience what he was as a gift to us. And so to the family and to the entire country, I offer my deepest condolences and those of my family. And as for the members of the SBC, I have full confidence in them. They are all very skilled senators. They are all very able. We support you, and we support the work that you have done for us so far, and I support another mandate for you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Majority Leader, proceed to reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. I want to thank my colleagues who have taken time to share their thoughts on this motion to set up the Senate Business Committee for the third session of this Senate, Mr. Speaker. I thank my colleagues for the things that they've raised during debate. Many issues, Mr. Speaker, those that are concerned, many broadly support the team and appreciate the work that our SBC
has done. Of course, I have listened to the concerns of members of the Jubilee Party. Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, they are not here. I'm sure there are better avenues they can use, Mr. Speaker, and the standing orders provide for ways which they can address the challenge and the situation they presently find themselves in, Mr. Speaker. By and large, Mr. Speaker, many of our colleagues appreciate the important role of SBC, especially in scheduling business and ensuring that we have business to transact as a house, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I join also my colleagues in passing tribute to the world record holder, the departed friend, Kelvin Kiptum, together with his coach, who unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, met their demise 2 nights ago. As a country, we are in mourning, Mr. Speaker. This young man had a life full of promise. There was a great career ahead of him. Many of us who are fans of athletics were looking forward actually to the duel in Paris later on this year during the Olympics between him and Eliud Kipchoge, Mr. Speaker. It's unfortunate that as fate would have it, Kelvin will not be there. Of course, there are lessons that we learn, but of course, Mr. Speaker, we have to ask ourselves, what is it that we can do? So many of our athletes have departed in this particular way. Many of them world beaters. Some of them were lucky to survive. You'd remember, I think, Rudisha, 2 or 3, almost at the prime of his career also, had a similar incident, and in fact, ended his career with an injury from which he never recovered from, Mr. Speaker. And so many of these young athletes. And it points out to a lack, Mr. Speaker, perhaps of maybe mentorship or something that you could do to these young people that do so much for us as a country, yet we pay so little to. And many times we just remember them when they have passed on, like we have seen. You remember of Samuel Wanjiro, Mr. Speaker, met his death in almost similar circumstances through an accident, Mr. Speaker, that couldn't be explained. It's unfortunate. Though we are blessed with abundant talent as a country, Mr. Speaker, there is a lesson therein for us, that there is a lot more that we need to do other than just celebrate and tweet and take pictures with our stars when they return from victory. We need to invest in them as well. There are many things that Kenyans are saying, and we must learn to listen. The Minister for Sports, I saw he visited the home of Kiptum yesterday, but then we look forward to hearing what is it that we as a country have learned over time, because this is not the first athlete at the peak of their career that we have lost. You remember many of them have found themselves even in love triangles and many such kind of things, Mr. Speaker, and have ended their life at very young age, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, I want to say fare thee well, Kelvin. We know that we would have wished to have you longer. I was certain, as a fan of athletics, Mr. Speaker, that this is a gentleman who was going actually to do the sub-2 in a competitive marathon. And I thought that was going to happen in this year's Olympic, Mr. Speaker. It's unfortunate, but such is the fate of man, Mr. Speaker. Many are our plans, but unfortunately not all of them come to pass. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, I wish to urge my colleagues that we take our serious opportunity to address a gathering of the directorate, of the staff of the directorate of the Speaker's office. And there were certain very grim statistics that were read out to us. And I wish I had mentioned this when the House was a bit more full when we began this session, that this is the first time that Senate has been adjourned close to 10 times for lack of quorum in the last 2 sessions. I hope we don't have a repeat of that, Mr. Speaker, because there's nobody who came to this House unopposed. All of us, Mr. Speaker, there was somebody we were competing with, somebody who felt that they deserve a better chance to represent the people that we represent here than ourselves. Ordinary citizens woke up early, queued, voted, and said that I put my trust in Eddie to speak on my behalf in the Senate of the Republic. It cannot be then, Mr. Speaker, that same Eddie cannot find just 3 hours on a single afternoon, 3 times a week, to come and speak on behalf of those people. I don't understand. I struggle, Mr. Speaker, to understand where people disappear to, such that, yes, of course, Eddie is an example. I must tell the people of Migori that I have seen many Migori senators, so to speak, And you are as fine as they come, Senator Eddie. I celebrate you because of your diligence and industry in this house. Every afternoon, you are among the very last people to leave this house. And I'd wish that many of our colleagues could take you from that and appreciate that this is a rare opportunity and a privilege, that thousands others wish to sit in this house and speak on behalf of residents. Yet, on many afternoons, we find ourselves less than 10 or 15 people in the house. It's my sincere hope that we will take our job a bit more seriously, Mr. Speaker. I hope we shall hold governors to account. Citizens are crying. Many of our counties are in very embarrassing situations, Mr. Speaker. And I look forward, Mr. Speaker, we have had this discussion about the current system of accountability that we have, where Auditor General sends a report to a particular committee, a report comes which we never discuss individually, and sometimes they're just lumped together, Mr. Speaker, and that becomes business as usual. We need to do better. Each of us must be able to look each other in the eye and speak to one another as colleague senators and say, I have a problem in my county. This is what the governor is doing. As my colleague senators, help me on behalf of my people. You know, in terms of health, in terms of ECDs, leakage of revenue. I want to propose, in fact, to you colleagues, that just in the same way that the national government is going cashless in its revenue collection, we need to push these governors to install systems also that are cashless. Many of the revenue leakage processes in our county, money is just being collected in sacks, and it is never banked, Mr. Speaker. Yet, we preside over the same, Mr. Speaker. If there is a year that the Senate of this republic must hold governors to account if you want to keep devolution alive in this country, then it is 2024, my dear brothers and sisters. If we do not do it, then Kenyans will give up and say they are all children of the same mother. So they may call themselves senators or governors, but they are one and the same. I don't believe that that is what is expected of us, Mr. Speaker. It is my hope that as a House, we shall rise up to the occasion and ensure that Kenyans enjoy the fruits of devolution as they had hoped in 2010 when they voted for these constitutions. With those very many remarks, Mr. Speaker, I beg to reply. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Now, honorable senators, pursuant to Standing Order 84-1, it is my determination that this matter does not affect counties, and therefore voting shall be by voice. I will therefore proceed to put the question. The pursuant to Standing Orders 190 and 199.3, the Senate approved the following senators nominated to serve in the Senate Business Committee for the third session. In addition to the Speaker of the Senate, who, pursuant to Standing Order 191, shall be the chairperson of the committee, the Senate Majority Leader, the Senate Minority Leader, the Senate Majority Whip, and the Senate Minority Whip. And the following senators: Senator Roba Ali Ibrahim, EGH, MP, Senator Edwin Sifuna, MP, Senator Veronica Maina, MP, Senator Wakili Hilary Kiprotich Sigei, MP, Senator Maureen Tabitha Mutinda, MP, Senator Agnes Kavindu Muthama, MP, and lastly, Senator Munyehaji Faki, CBS, MP. Of that opinion, say aye. Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Honorable senators, you may now arise. There being no other business on the order paper, the Senate stands adjourned until tomorrow, Wednesday, 14th of February, 2024 at 9:30 a.m. The members of the Senate Business Committee, we proceed immediately to Committee Room 4 for our meeting. Thank you.
That marks the success of the first day of the Senate sitting this afternoon that has climaxed with members unanimously endorsing a 7-member committee that was proposed to sit in the Senate Business Committee. And those members are proceeding for a meeting to plan for business of tomorrow. The Senate will, the next sitting has adjourned until tomorrow 9:30 in the morning, when, according to the House standing orders, is when the House has the next sittings. Of importance during today's first session and first sitting under the third session is the aspect of matters to do with strengthening oversight role of the Senate. The Senate leader of the majority party has urged senators to ensure that they adhere to their role on which they were elected on, and ensure that there will be no quorum hitches under this third session. Members have also spoken to the aspect of the House prioritizing matters, various businesses brought in by members. Them is matters to do with bills and motion on matters security. That is the latest from the Senate. Allow me to hand you over back to the Broadcasting House for our normal programming.
Can I ask you something? Sure. What do you see in a guy like Amador Zuniga?
I'm sorry, you can't go further.
But he's my father!
I know, but you have to wait.
I know that I disappointed him, and that caused him a lot of pain. You need to go to the hospital. You don't want to give Lucia and everybody else more power to judge you.
Did he say anything? He can't talk, Nora. He's in a coma.
每一张都是王淼拍的，每一张上都有。
从什么时候开始拍的？
这是第一次。之前呢，我一直在说，邪乎到家必有鬼，但这次，这鬼也太不一般了。你知道是谁让他灌钱实验的吗？
彭教授啊，我是常伟思啊，请教一个问题：宇宙会闪烁吗？时间的尽头。
Wewe kama Muislamu utakapomtembelea ndugu yako, Mtume sallallahu alaihi wasallam anasema hakuna Muislamu yoyote atakayemtembelea ndugu yake Muislamu wakati ambapo ni mgonjwa, ikawa muda wake wa kuishi upo katika dunia, bado upo, ule ni mtihani tu Allah amempa kwa ugonjwa kama ule.
Yule ambaye atamtembelea mgonjwa, natija ambayo anaipata ni kuwa wakati ambapo upo katika ile wadi ambayo umeenda kumtembelea yule mgonjwa ama katika chumba chake, itakuwa ni kana kwamba upo katika bustani, katika mabustani ya pepo ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Bado safari ni ndefu, wasafiri tusichoke na tusiwe madhaifu, twendeni hadi tufike.
Na alipoingia darasani, wanafunzi wenzake walimsimanga huku wakimcheka kana kwamba hawangecheka kesho.
Watoto ambao wana wazazi wanaotumia dawa za kulevya na walio katika hali mahututi hospitalini hawawezi kuwategemea wazazi wao kupata ushauri.
Mfalme anapotembea anakutana na binti mrembo mtoto show, ngozi laini kama samli ya mbuzi. Anashangaa.
Lakini kwa sasa mtazamaji, baada ya kusoma sana
baby to spend you passion yenyewe mafupi no daddy like uko nishike uko
So you thought by you coming here you'll get enough sleep?
So nisikize tu Tiff.
I want to know what you and Dad have been cooking.
I urge you to be certain about what you are accusing me of.
These shares that you've been claiming to have, how did you acquire them?
Najua ulipata sponsor sasa.
Now, who is spreading such rumors?
You startled me.
Unaenda wapi?
I need to tell you something, Chief.
Chief, kuna shida? I told you I don't like to be kept.
Sir, I don't understand why you're always harsh on me now.
You really underestimate what I can and I cannot do.
DJ
Cole Jacks.
inside the dopest mixtape.
Stupid dope mix. DJ mixing.
Hear the drums echoing tonight. She hears only whispers of some quiet conversation. She's coming in 12:30 flight. The moonlit wings reflect the stars that guide me towards salvation. I stopped an old man along the way, hoping to find some old forgotten words or ancient melodies. He turned to me as if to say, hurry boy, it's waiting after you. Gotta take the life to take me away from you. There's nothing that 100 men or more could ever do. I bless the rains down in Africa. Gotta take some time to do the things we never
The hottest in the game.
Wild dogs cry out in the night as they grow restless, longing for some solitary company. I know that I must do what's right, sure as Kilimanjaro rises like Olympus above the Serengeti. I seek to cure what's deep inside, frightened of this thing that I've become. Gonna take the life to drag me away from you. There's nothing that 100 men or more could ever do. I guess the rains down in Africa. Gonna take some time to do the things we never Small mix. Walking down the street and I start to cry. Every time we meet. Okay.